Hi folks. Well, I showed you plowing the garden early in the summer, and that was the last I mentioned about the garden. That's because this was such a lousy year with it being so wet so early and not being able to get into it to do much weeding or even the planting. Some things I had to plant 2 or 3 times, and I'm just starting to get some things come up now. The sweet corn I didn't get planted till early June, and it did come up, but so did the weeds. And when I couldn't get in really to weed, what I had was just a mess. I mean, I had no trouble keeping the rows clear in between, just run the tiller, and I did that every couple weeks and that worked. But the problem was the weeds growing up in the rows next to the stalks. You know, you try to pull them out, you rip the corn stalks out. So what do? I guess what I'm going to have to do next year is find some kind of herbicide that I can spray to kill everything before I start, and then just have the corn plants come up. I don't know. I'm sure there are some herbicides out there. The problem is some of them are heavy duty and you need a license to use them, like the commercial sweet corn growers would use. So obviously I'm not going to get them. So I'm not sure. If you have some suggestions for me, some kind of herbicides to deal with weeds but won't affect the sweet corn, I'd be happy to take your suggestions. As you can see, this is what's left. I finished picking. I did get 4 good long rows of this variety. This is Temptation. It's a sugar enhanced bicolor corn, has a really good flavor. We've planted it before and it's done well for us. So this year I've been eating off of it for the last week and a half. Pulled some out. I think I want to say I probably got 2 laundry baskets like this out of here already, and then this is what's left. I don't want it to start to dry out, so it'll have to be processed or whatever we're going to do with it. Some of these cobs aren't going to be worth salvaging, I know that, but we'll make do with what we can. So this was our corn harvest for 2019. I did plant a second variety, but it didn't come up with the kind of rain and stuff that we had, and then it got to be too late to try to plant it again, so I just skipped it. At any rate, you have years like that. I'm not going to show you what the garden looks like. It's such a mess. But I'll come back to you when I pick some tomatoes. I do have some tomato plants that finally are producing tomatoes. Same problem. I did get them in the garden late. They sat there and didn't do much for weeks and weeks just because of the heavy rain. I really couldn't get in because of all the mud to try to even fertilize them. And what good would have that done? It washed away anyway. So I'm getting some tomatoes. I didn't even get them caged, so they're kind of sprawled all over everywhere. It's a mess, but we are getting some food out of the garden. That's the main purpose for it, even if it doesn't look like something you'd see on a magazine. Have gotten some slicing cucumbers. I have some pickling cucumbers finally coming after planting them 3 times. Some summer squash, and I think I picked a pepper or 2 off the pepper plants, but they're not very good. The broccoli, I may get some late broccoli. The plants are finally starting to grow. When it did start to dry out here, maybe mid-July, I did get in there and get some fertilizer on them, some Miracle-Gro on them, and push them because they look sickly all spring or all early summer. But I might get some of those yet. So at any rate, you have years like this when you garden and when you farm, and I'm just thankful for what I do have. This is certainly more than enough corn for our family. Not just to eat now, but also to freeze. My wife will cut the kernels off the cobs and then put them in freezer bags, and then we'll have corn during the winter months. So I can't complain because it could have been a whole lot worse, but I'm just frustrated because it's a lot of work, and to just have the weeds take over like that, it's miserable. And I don't have hours and hours and hours to spend in the garden every week just pulling weeds. So I've got to come up with a better solution. Again, if you have some suggestions for a good, effective herbicide that will kill any of the weeds you don't want in the corn patch but won't affect the sweet corn, please, I'd appreciate the tip. I've been trying to do some research on it, and yeah, there are the heavier duty ones like I said, but I'm just a gardener. I'm not a farmer who has a federal pesticide license, so I need something that'll work for me. All right, I'll come back to you. Well, there's my tomato harvest for today. Of course, this doesn't show the probably 20 tomatoes I had to pitch because either they were on the ground and they got a rotten spot, or a rabbit started gnawing on them, or even a couple that split. So I've got a lot more to go. There are a lot of green ones on there. There are a lot of blossoms yet. So if the season continues, if I have another month of decent weather, I should get more, but I'm still going to be battling these problems. As you can see, I also got two sweet green peppers. They're not huge, but considering how anemic those plants looked all summer, I'm happy to get that. And I do have a couple broccoli crowns starting on the broccoli, so I might get some of that. These are all red tomatoes. I know they don't look like it because what I've had to do with the rabbit problem and the bug problem here, as soon as they start to blush, I've been trying to pick them and then just sitting them on a table in the shade and letting them ripen on their own. I'd love to have them be completely ripe before I pick them off the vine, but they don't make it. So this is the other way to do it. Cherry tomatoes seem to be doing the best, obviously. Maybe it's because the rabbits don't bother with them when they can take bites out of the big ones. I don't know. Excuse me, but at any rate, that's the rest of where the garden is right now. Don't have enough to do any kind of canning, but we'll share them with people and we'll eat as many as we can. So again, I'm thankful for what I do have, considering the way the spring was and the early summer was, but it's certainly not the way I'd like to do things. If all of these tomato plants would have been on cages and staked, that they were up off the ground, I'd have a whole lot more, I'm sure. But I don't know. Maybe I'll have to develop a taste for rabbit stew this fall when hunting season comes in and thin the herd a bit. I don't know. We'll see. At any rate, I'll probably do another video of all the little rabbits running around here that we have this year just to show you. But at any rate, this is a garden update. If there's any more that's worthwhile reporting the rest of the summer, I'll let you know. But thank you for watching, and please subscribe to our channel.